Streaming started.
So,
Okay, we're recording now.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, not video.
Basically, we can still have it here, it's just,
I guess.
we can
We can't
record it, not broadcast, then that's what we'll do, if we can do.
I believe we're recording from this.
Are we recording and broadcasting, or just recording?
We're not broadcasting.
Okay.
I don't know for sure.
All right, tell me if you want to call this to order.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna call the meeting of the Town of Bremen Redevelopment Commission to order. Approval of minutes from the November 17th meeting.
Two meetings, actually. One's the executive session, one is
We'll do
the
the
regular meeting.
do the executive session first.
Yes, whichever one, just say which one it is, and I'll
We'll
get it
do
on.
the executive session first.
I move to approve the minutes from the executive meeting.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Passes. Approval of the minutes from the standard meeting, or the regular meeting from November 17th. We have a first.
Yes. I motion to approve the minutes.
Great. Do we have
I
a second?
second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those same, against, same sign? Okay. Next order of business is town attorney.
All right. Couple different things from me. First of all, you had the draft purchase agreement on the cling easement for the trail. Yeah, we basically still have authority. I just wanted you to see it. We're probably going to get that signed up here sometime before Christmas. So just so you're aware, I don't think it requires any extra vote. We just wanted you to be aware. I did send around the annual spending plan, and I really thought we were going to get something a little better looking from Baker Tilly. I am kind of bickered with them a little bit about whether that was part of the services you guys agreed to pay for at the beginning of the year. That is still being clarified. So essentially, this is based off of the same thing we submitted last year. Some of the numbers are increased. The debt service payment is appropriate from what I heard. The capital expenditures was at 2.6 million. We basically allocated for that last year. And it just never got spent because the project didn't actually move forward fast enough, so we just left that figure the same. I think we left everything else the same, everything that we discussed earlier in this year, although obviously some of this may be new to you, so if you want to stop me on any of those points, you let me know and I'll tell you what that fee was. The only things that we did that were different, and understand these are caps. This is what we think the most we'll spend in each category would be. I don't think we're going to spend as much on the school resource officer, which is an item F, but we still left it the same just in case. And then Megan beefed up the professional expenses because apparently we have spent a small fortune between us, Danch, all the people that we've been hiring, all the other professionals, so apparently that needed to get beefed out. And then O, the other anticipated expenditures, I took as just kind of a general, could be anything, and the school's request later on tonight is a good example, so I just put 50 into that. This is not set in stone, we can always amend this if we have to. Just so you're aware, we can always make it, update it with something new that comes up. I did not put anything in here for the fire truck because that actually hasn't been brought in front of you yet. I've had some, just really preliminary conversations about what the expense and the time frame for it is. It is supposed to take several years. I have no idea what kind of a down payment they have to put down for it, but I heard there's a 3-year lead time to get a fire truck. I actually heard a story on the radio, on the news, that explained what's going on with fire trucks. There's not a lot of places that make them anymore, and they're super expensive. So that is coming down the pike. We will try to get better information for you next year on what's in the fund, what do we have coming down the pike that needs to be paid for, how much money do you have to work with before you make those decisions. We're working with Baker Tilly on how to get that information on a more regular basis. So for tonight, though, I would just ask you to approve the spending plan so we can get that submitted.
Any discussion on the spending plan? Questions for Mr. Wagner? Anything? Or Megan? Nothing? Do I have a motion to approve the spending plan?
I motion to approve the spending plan for 2026.
We have a first. Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
I don't know if we want to do the memorandum of understanding now. Do you want to cover that in your presentation? Okay. Yeah, if you want to go right now, that's fine.
I don't know what all the broadcast stuff is, but. So we have a couple things, I guess, to update with respect to the READY projects. One of which is the memorandum of understanding with the Bremen Public School Corporation, or school system. And so where we are is not materially different than I think the last time we went and kind of talked through this. But what we kind of have at this point, with the school is, being able to finalize kind of what we believe is kind of their comments on the document. But one of the attachments is the park lease. And I think that, for the most part, the language has been worked out. They're just working on the term. How long would that lease have to be to consider long-term? And I think there's a meeting later tonight to kind of go through and hopefully with some participation of the school board kind of hashing out what that looks like. But overall, it's, like I said, it was consistent with kind of what was discussed, whereby, the park or the school approved the replat, the same replat that you guys approved. There was one difference, kind of update on that, and that there was another line inserted in the replat to create another lot. The reason for that is it gets some flexibility for whoever the developer, presumably, as we're talking the conversations, you can do a lot line adjustment without doing a complete replat, and so there was one added to get flexibility for that. But otherwise, there's no material differences in what was approved and going forward. So I think that's ready for signature if it's not already been signed. Did Joe already sign
Yeah,
have
the drawing signed, and you need the application signed.
Um,
tonight for that. So that's also, the school approved that. And so the next kind of perspective is once there's a meeting on Wednesday, which presumably when they would approve the MOU, in which case then we can get Joe to sign it, as well as the school board, presumably Todd signing it. And then we're ready to submit that in kind of with the revised packet going for the ready application. As a part of the, that kind of components, there is a part of the property that, is going to be purchased, and that can happen after that lease is signed, the park lease. So in January, we'll likely bring to you a resolution accepting the school's property, providing the compensation for that to get ready for a closing, again, assuming the lease gets approved and by the park board and then the school board probably in January, approving the final lease, getting that signed, and then we can execute mirroring resolutions. One, the school will be providing it to the redevelopment commission, the other will be accepting it. And with that will also be a right of first refusal on the remaining lot, and you'll also be providing some rights with respect to what you're going to be purchasing from the Stock Street as well, like we talked about last time. So that'll come forward back in January to kind of at least authorize those actions to occur. So that's the MOU. I don't know if there's anything else you want to, discuss about that.
Mostly is unchanged other than the park lease. Brian and I worked on that last week. There's a meeting scheduled, I think, for 7 to get that pinned down. I think Todd is gonna go, and hopefully they'll walk out of there with that complete, so.
The transfer agreements, mutual agreements, are we responsible for our own? Did you have some language?
Yeah, there'll be drafted one that's it's just mirroring. It just say, one will adopt one saying it's giving, one will adopt an accepting, it'll have the compensation. Then there'll be a deed attached as a form, which the school will then execute, and then they'll have authority to, execute closing, sales disclosure forms to kind of provide for that. So that's basically, but no, yeah, it'll be provided. No, it'll be provided because they have to mirror each other, so it'll be provided to the school in January. Anything else on that?
No. I'm good unless any other questions.
You want to talk about any other items, or you want to go to the other?
If you don't mind, Sean, maybe, I don't know if you guys are staying for the whole meeting or if you want to bail, but if you just move into.
The school request?
Yeah.
Okay.
Megan, did you have anything
Nope,
for the
you
next item?
shows that fund, that appropriation, the status of those. So that's just what we've paid this last month. The other ones have been yearly, just kind of catching you up, but I will, again, start providing these monthly to you guys, and if you ever have any questions, just let me know.
Awesome. Public comments. I think that's Dr. Amor and team.
Hi.
Hope Amor, Bremen Public School Superintendent. Thanks for having us. I have a hard copy. It looks like you made copies too. We've got plenty of copies.
Everybody has.
You've got one. Okay, we've got more than enough copies. I brought my friends here, Mr. Jeff Unsicker from Facilities and Ms. Stephanie Pittman, our business manager. So for context, Senate Enrolled Act 1 hit us pretty hard to the tune of about $400,000 to our operations budget. We use that budget to do all sorts of facilities projects, and it's really how Jeff is able to do his job and take care of our school. On the first snow day, we had an adult slip on the ice in our large parking lot, and we also had a child fall and hit her head. And so in an effort not to be negligent, I met with Jeff and said, what can we do to salt this better? It came to my attention that in the past the town would do a pass-through and salt it for us, which we appreciated, but evidently there's a liability risk to the town still doing that. Unfortunately, we didn't have the equipment to put that much salt down. So we met with Mr. Frayne and Mr. Langdon, and they were very accommodating as far as accessing salt. We really appreciate it. They're saving us quite a bit of money by allowing us to buy the salt at cost from the town instead of bag by bag. I think it's the difference between $80 and over $300. So thank you. That's been very helpful, and just the practicality of not having to open a bag each time, but just having bulk salt to use. So that's made his job much easier and his crew. So our request now is if you would be willing to help us pay for a salt spreader. It goes in the back of Jeff's truck. The quote is attached. We did actually already make the purchase within the last couple weeks. I don't know the exact day, but just because of the incoming weather. But as I shared, with our operations budget so tight, we'd really appreciate your help with this if you'd consider it. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but thank you for your consideration.
Any questions?
So,
I think it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, pretty
So,
much.
Thank you.
Would the salt spreader be used when community events are held at the school?
Say that again.
Would the salt spreader be used when community events are had at the school? You follow me?
Yep. Oh, definitely.
Is there-
I believe so, but I want to double check. Do you use this salt spreader for big events at the school?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so events that the general public.
Sorry, I didn't want to answer for him.
No.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I've never had anything like this to use. We just had small ones on the back of the tractor. It's made, I can cover all the parking lots. I mean, It's trial and error. I've used it a couple of times. I can actually cover the majority of the parking lots with one load of this.
Okay.
The parking areas, and yes, that's the intent. Big events, day to day when we're in school. So
Yeah.
Basketball games like Saturday night.
Stuff like that. Keep everybody safer.
Yeah.
If we move the school in this process into the, so now we're definitely,
We did.
we are.
Um,
So we don't have to do the down the road thing anymore.
Well, but also the, just kind of general public benefit to it.
Right.
Does it improve the TIF district? And
Definitely.
that's why I asked that question. I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to put you on the spot, but we
Oh,
just
no.
want to lay a little
That
bit of
makes sense.
foundation. Even though I feel like it is pretty common sense. The salt arrangement, I think the town does that with La Paz, because there's frankly some environmental issues with storing large quantities of salt, and it's better not to have a ton of those. So overall though, public safety issues,
Yeah.
really. So I think you're fine moving forward with this.
Do we have a motion to?
What was the exact amount?
$10,312.50.
Do we have a motion?
To pay the whole thing, correct?
That's up
You
to
can make
and the
whatever motion you would like.
I motion to, what's the language you want me to use here?
To essentially approve the reimbursement of the purchase.
Approve the reimbursement, that's what I didn't know, we already paid it, so.
Right.
Motion to approve the reimbursement to the Bremen schools for the salt spreader. Yep.
For the full amount?
For the full amount.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I do have one comment on that. If there's anything further that the school needs help-wise, I think this board as a whole is very willing to help the school with any of that type of stuff. So, especially athletic improvements, anything that there's needed that way. I've
Well,
met with Jeff a couple times.
The only
Properties.
rub with that, I'm not saying it's a no, is this is where that financial information that we need to provide is important, because you have to start thinking about, because we have some large-scale projects going on, and we just need to be thinking about how much money we're gonna have and when to do what. So the more of a lead you can give us, and say you're putting up the Cafegimatorium, like, we would like to know as far in advance as
Yes.
possible, because we have to map out, like I said, what we're going to have and when, from what source. So,
Yes, very much so.
so yeah, so the more, this isn't a big deal, and it's kind of an emergency, frankly, but the bigger it is, the more lead time we can get, the better off we'll be. So,
May I comment? If it helps, we've built a 10-year facilities plan together with our administrative team, and our board is aware as well, and I'd be happy to come back and present that to you, or even provide that documentation at any point, so you can see what projects we're mapping out for the next 10 years, and you can kind of tell how we're funding it and where we might need support. So
I
if
think-
that would be helpful.
yes,
That would
it
be
will
awesome.
let us look at it and try to figure out what fits with the purposes we're allowed to do, so.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yep. Other public comments, basically? All right.
Christina needs to make her presentation.
Christina?
I think we covered all the items.
The MOU, the revised term sheet. John, do you want to talk about where we're at on a broader level with Collins? Were we going to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Update. So, I guess high level, things have been progressing. There is they've updated kind of the site plan to accommodate, and we can talk about that, something you want to go through before we kind of get to that. You know, what it did basically is reduce slightly the number of single-family homes but provided a couple different cross streets component. The second thing that it appears agreeable to is segmenting out their phase 3, which is the bulk of the additional single-family homes. So they have really 3 phases. The first phase is, some apartments, duplexes, flats, and 14 single-family homes for rent. And then they had 24 that were for sale, retail. The next phase, then very similar numbers, except just for the apartments and the senior facility. And then they have the 14 additional rentals and then 20 additional homes that are for sale. So total about 44 single-family homes for sale. Then the next phase would be an additional 48. So they're agreeable to staging the acquisition. So the final land for the 48 would come after, there's mutual agreement from the commission that they've met, and there's demand, they've met what they said they're going to do, and then they can move forward with phase 3. So that's the staging. So there was some movement positively on that front on the land piece side. The thing we're kind of working out now is, the total investment that they're projecting is $45.6 million. That's for all 3 phases. Split into 3 phases. So we asked Baker Tilly to put together the TIF projections for that. They did a draft based upon the prior scope. The scope slightly changed here, and they kind of added the duplexes, and they would be putting those on the land that's across from the baseball field to the north to do that. So Baker Tilly hasn't provided the update yet. They were just providing the information, the final information today. So they'll update that. But we did go through and kind of model out, kind of the numbers of what that could look like. And so the financial concept we're looking at now is that they're considering, rather than just a pure split on TIF, that we do a situation where the town is basically through what's called a forgivable loan. They're provided funds for the acquisition, so you get credit for the acquisition, so they're paying full price for the acquisition. Then potentially also providing them funding to do the offsite improvements to save cost, to go through the cost side. But that would be secured by the property and a taxpayer agreement on the property. So you have clear payback. So rather than split it, in which case we may have risk of whether we get paid back, depending on how much they do with the project, we actually get that first position and get paid back first. And then they have the ability to earn, perform and earn the TIF above that, which actually results in a higher percentage than what we were looking at. So they're trying to accommodate that, but it's a math game. And so until the numbers are there, that's kind of where we're at, kind of proposed structure and see where they come back at. But our goal is to try to get as much of the investment that the redevelopment commission has put in out, including the cost for the additional infrastructure to do that. As part of the concept, which get the feedback on as well, you've got some capital improvements to do, the infrastructure. There's some obviously property to buy, that schools remaining on Stock Street. With those type of expenditures coming up, as well as the offsite expenditures, the wanting water and sewer there's an opportunity to apply for some low-cost financing through the state of Indiana, and that can create an interest rate as low as 3%. And so, right now there's, if we do an application before in the first week in January, there is an allocation set aside for rural funds that's not been utilized for 2025 yet. So we'd be trying to see if we can get, there's other applications being submitted too, but up to about 1.5 million that we think we may be able to get, which could help provide liquidity for the redevelopment commission to do this without having a long-term. You could always pay it off early, right? So that's something that, if there's a desire to do that, we'd go ahead and apply for that and see if that could be awarded. We would know in January then, and this project meets that criteria. Now, we can still go and ask for more financing later, that same program, because we qualify for quite a bit because of the amount of homes going on there. But we may not need that necessarily. It just kind of depends upon where things stack up in the process. So we did talk with, the developer about that, and they were agreeable to play ball to help us, secure that financing, because it's quite frankly cheaper than what they could do, right? So, so anyway, that's kind of in process. So I do want to provide an update, make sure there's, I guess, consensus to go ahead and apply for that, type of funding that provides that liquidity that we may need for 2026 as we do in the trail project and doing these projects. And hopefully we'll be in a position in a couple more days, we get the numbers to finalize everything. But there's currently, the draft is with Collins to react to. The financials are there to review with Baker Tilly. So we just need a couple more days to kind of make sure we have alignment on those pieces of it. And we do have the revised site layout, if that's something you guys want to review or not.
What I hear you asking is, we need to make a motion to be able to give you the permission to apply for the loan at 3% for $1.5 million.
That might be premature, though.
Yeah, I think we'd be applying now, probably for your next meeting, unless we do it on Thursday. We could come back on Thursday.
We want to make sure we've got an actual term sheet to approve first, though. I feel like.
Well, I think it'd all be subject to. We couldn't do it without it. So, but if there's a desire to explore it,
I just want to don't get cart before the horse.
That's why we
so.
would just give him permission to apply.
Yeah.
you don't have to accept it. You can always withdraw it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is this rural loan program the one that requires you to modify your zoning regulations? That's not the one?
No. It's simply you have to have. And it's based upon the number of single-family units and I would say multi-family units. And so you kind of qualify, and the purpose is to provide community's ability to extend infrastructure and do things to the site. So it kind of fits what we're doing. The round for 2025 was actually in October. We weren't ready to apply for it. But because there's a rule set aside and it wasn't achieved, that's where they're still taking rolling applications. So the next round isn't until August. So if we can get in and score high, it kind of sets us up well to do that. So I think that's kind of the one component, just to make sure there's, I guess, consensus that it's okay to have, because it'll be the redevelopment commission applying. So if we get everything ready, again, assuming things progress in the next few meetings, then it would allow for Keith or Joe to sign for that to submit it.
Give that.
If you want approval now.
I would say if you're willing to entertain that, it'd be,
So we're looking for a motion for approving Sean and his company to apply for a loan for the redevelopment commission. And then it would be subject to the term sheet if we would accept that.
I motion to apply, have Sean and his company,
What's the name of the entity, Sean?
is the Indiana Finance Authority has a program called the Rural Housing Assistance Program. It was actually a new program that's been, it was appropriated funding, $25 million over this next biennium with the state to facilitate kind of towns putting in infrastructure for housing.
So basically, just make a motion to hire community redevelopment. I mean, is this?
It's under existing engagement
Okay,
letter.
so
Yeah, it wouldn't-
Authorizing community redevelopment partners to pursue essentially that financing application.
I motion to have, what's the name?
As stated, motion as stated.
To apply for the funds. When we get the term sheet, everything else figured out,
Yep, subject to the term sheet.
subject to the term
So-
sheet. A second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
So I guess just to, from a perspective of kind of where, things are hopefully, landing here, we do have, I think you're trying to look at a date for a follow-up meeting. We really need to submit, ideally before Christmas, around the end of the year, the package back to the state for the Ready grant. Which is why we're trying to wrap up some of these things. And one of the main things is trying to get, the financing piece done. So when we look at the, term sheet and components, we're moving that direction. That's why we're asking to kind of push to get the term sheet done so we can demonstrate that we have a developer signed to do what is required to hit the metrics. The good news is if you look at all three phases, we're exceeding what we ever thought we would have on that. So that's very positive going forward. Okay, any other questions about, I would say one more thing about the term sheet, just so as you're planning expenditures, right now when we're looking at, and again, feedback is certainly appreciated on this, we look at kind of the different laying out of who's paying for what. What we're trying to do is cap the offsite cost of the offsite infrastructure. So we're trying to figure out a way to do that. But at the end of the day, that was something the town always said they were going to do. Extending the water and the sewer, but we're trying to figure out a way to kind of cap that. The second thing is for the design costs related to those two things, you've already engaged and I think for the most part paid for the Stock Street water extension there. The other piece of that is the sewer lift station, extending sewer down there and lift station piece. So we're currently getting quotes, for that to see what would be the most, cost effective to do that. And obviously working with the developer if they moving forward with their team to say what can help save the most cost there. So that'll probably likely come in January too, and saying here's a recommendation, here are the costs we got, and here's what it looks like, because that's really on the side of the town. And then the documentation related to establishing the districts, the allocation areas, and that cost would also be borne by the town, because the primary purpose of doing it now versus when the project's done is to provide for the repayment source for the loan piece to it. So you want security before you transfer the property to them, that you have all that documentation in place, the taxpayer agreement, so they're on the hook to make sure that you didn't put this infrastructure in for nothing, okay, or provide the property. But the actual cost of closing the bonds for the developer's incentive, that's going to be on them. So there's sort of effectively like a split on that. Half to protect your interest, half on their interest going forward. So that's kind of where overarching things are at from a planning standpoint. So as you look at the capital plan, so those types of things we're trying to figure in, and hopefully the term sheet becomes finalized and we can dial that in for certainty. So
You don't have numbers yet necessarily. You don't have numbers yet?
yeah. So for the Stock Street extension and the water, we do have estimates provided by JPR for those. And so when you think about we know for certain the acquisition costs for the school property now, and we know for certain what Piper's cost is for that. What we don't know is what the improvement costs are related to that. But we'll have plans. I think they're 90% complete by the end of this Friday. So we'll be able to then, allow that to be truly costed out. But we do have JPR's cost of what that would look like. And then for the sewer side, that hasn't been designed yet, but it's pretty straightforward. It's just running south down Berkey in a lift station. So we think, we have JPR's cost on that. So we have an estimate for what they have. And we're still getting the design cost estimates from the proposals for that. So we think we're in good shape there, having third-party estimates for all of those types of costs. But until you get a bid out, you don't actually know. And what we're trying to do is say, okay, can we just cap that and let the developer take everything else? If they're willing to do that, so that's our goal, is to try to see that, because it's very challenging. You go to the public bidding process doing all these types of things to try to keep the cost down, so if we can minimize the risk. But we'll see. That's part of the negotiations. So anything else?
Do we need to talk about the replat? Was there a change to the?
He mentioned it earlier.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we just add the additional line.
Okay, yeah, so we're all clear on that then. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Any other public comments? Brian, anything? Ready for
Did you want to look at the layout now or do that?
I think you emailed that over.
Emailed it?
Yeah, I had sent that
Yeah.
Okay, if you
earlier.
guys have comments.
Anybody want to discuss anything about that proposed layout? And again, I still don't think Avonmarsh has looked at this, right?
No, this is just internal. This is just to get a count of the units. It's not, you know,
Obviously that line on the west for where they think that additional parcel that we requested to hold is there, but that upper part up by Stewart Street, there's development there that was left empty before.
So now they want to use that.
We talked about moving some things around.
Okay,
And
I can't remember where we
effectively,
left that.
it wasn't part of their plan before,
Okay.
but it is part of their plan now. And I will say, this is what I told Mr. Stiles, the things that you had requested for the last round of discussion, they took pretty well as reasonable. They weren't surprised by any of it, I guess, so some of the things that are in here, like the cross street, going halfway through, was there to provide some of the traffic stop issues that Mr. Main raised. So I thought they took it pretty well. It's just a matter of trying to get units in the places without extending those roads to nowhere, as I call them, that don't have development. So,
But at the same time, it sucks if you're the last house up the street, or like you're the last hotel room that's farthest away from the elevator. You gotta go all the way down the hallway, you gotta go all the way down the street with no stop signs.
well,
Speed-wise.
yeah,
So,
we were just
from a
trying to
safety
make
issue.
sure
Yes.
we're not creating drag strips.
Still only one
Correct,
afterwards.
yes, very much so. So, I like this.
They're gonna go here.
Better.
They're going to do that. okay.
Yes, they're gonna go up to here.
Okay, they were bulking at it last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're gonna,
Yeah,
So
that's
is-
staff house.
Just
yeah.
for point of reference, is this Berkey or is Berkey over here?
Berkey is, yeah.
Okay, got it. That's what I thought.
All right, anything else?
Good.
Keith?
Do you guys need to do anything on the Klingy easement?
No, because they gave us authorization to button that up. I sent them the agreement, just to know where we were at, but we'll get that under signature. I don't think it'll close until January.
Just nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Any second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're done.
You can come to all the meetings now, because I'm going to start the RDC meeting in
Ah.
6 weeks.
This is how the RDC meetings used to always be. In and out, 30 minutes.
And I forgot that we had a Christmas party on Thursday. Do I have to be here?